Hi, and welcome to episode 307 of the Untethered Podcast. This is your host, Hallie Balkin, and today I have Gal Bason joining us. Gal is a NAET holistic therapist deeply committed to guiding you on a transformative journey towards wellness. Rooted in the belief that we are inherently healthy and inspired by the desire to treat her own kids, she utilizes NAET or NAET's general, non-invasive methods to delve into and address the underlying causes of allergies and intolerances. By treating not just symptoms, but the root itself, she helps to uncover the path to your natural state of health and happiness. Quick disclaimer, all information, content, and material of this podcast are the opinions of the speakers and is for the informational purpose only and not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and/or medical treatment of a qualified healthcare provider. Welcome to the Untethered Podcast. I am your host, Hallie Balkin. I'm a certified myofunctional therapist, feeding specialist, podcaster, business owner, and mentor. This podcast is all about getting your questions answered and collaborating with colleagues to bring you the most up-to-date information in the orofacial myofunctional therapy, airway, tethered oral tissue, and pediatric feeding therapy space. If you're new here, I challenge you to keep an open mind and join my mission to spread this message far and wide. If you've been around since June 2019, thanks for being a loyal listener. As we jump into today's episode, remember to listen with correct oral rest posture. Tongue up, lips closed, teeth apart, breathe through your nose. Let's get started. Hi, Gal. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Hallie. It's good to be here.
I'm excited to have you here because, as many people probably know, since I talk about this all the time, I see you at least once a week these days going, for Lily and I's and now Mia's NAET sessions. But before we jump into talking more about NAET and continuing that conversation, I would love for you to tell us just a little bit about who you are and, your story.
Yes, I would love to tell my story. Before I even start, I would like to say something in Hebrew, which I wanted to been heard. And it goes like that. Hashem sfatai tiftach vepi yagid tehilatcha. This is something like that we need to remember, whatever it is that we're doing here. It's doing in order to bring that health and doing whatever Hashem would like us to do. So in every step of my work, I remember who gave me this and why is it that I'm here to do that. So who am I? I'm Gal Bason, and Gal, actually, it's the meaning of wave in Hebrew. I came here to U.S. With my husband at age 30. We have our family, 3 kids. Used to live in upstate New York, then moved to Boston. And from there, I moved with my family back here to Florida. Finally, I have my gardens, I have my fruits, trees that I plant, I have my chickens, and I just continue doing things that I really, really love to do, and that's my work with healing. It didn't start It didn't start here. It started way back, almost 30 years. I always believed that 100% with my heart that the way that we need to deal with things and to heal ourselves, it's have to come from the natural and simple way in order to get ourselves in the maximum health, and not just in the physical, of course, it's also the emotional state. It's 100% looking back 30 years ago and having all the stories that I unfortunately ended up having in my life, including my own, my own family, my parents, my brother, which passed away. It's all been leading me to do even and to seek even for more. It's never end. the second to see how can we even be better than what we are doing right now. And so if you ask me, who am I will say, I'm a therapist that help you to, in a way, to know your story, and the story that combine all the elements of the sickness, but because of that, it's contained all the elements of the healing as well. Because when you know your own story, you might even fall in love with that story. Because this is where the place where we really wanted to find the undercause for things to happen. Not always be no, and that's okay. But this is where I come into the picture. Because the more you know your story, in a way, you can build up your relationship with this. And this is a different way how we can provide ourselves more peaceful in all levels. And yeah, and we wanted to get back to the health that you had at the beginning, because the health was there. We just need to go back to this place and understand the PPCE, which I'm going to talk about that, but this is how,
I love that. I'm writing down PPCE. I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is. So I'm excited for you to explain more. But, I know in your background, you also, prior to living in Florida, you were practicing as a naturopath. So I know that you use, right? Was that correct?
Yes, I use my tool bag. I use many things that I learned all over the years learning in Israel. I study in Israel and I study all over the world with all kind of things. And I'm a naturopath. I learned the Chinese medicine, herbs, oligotherapy. It's herbs as well, but in a different Reiki, Bach flowers, shiatsu, reflexology. More from psychology and ideology, all kind of tools that gave me a way to diagnose and see, but it wasn't well at the time. And I explain why I'm saying it was not enough for me to understand, because the story become more complicated and more not clear. When my son was born, and in 15 months old, he was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetes. And this is the story. And as a mom to a child that was born with that, so many questions arrive. Even though I have all this, it's like suddenly I woke up in the morning and I said, okay, I just know I don't know anything. I don't understand. And I started to look in a different route using what I have, but looking what in this puzzle wasn't correct. Why is it that my immune system will attack herself?
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason unless something is causing her to get that weakness. And this story, I would like to share a little bit about the story because, Jonathan was born back then. We actually just arrived to US, and Jonathan was born in upstate New York. The birth was a regular birth and everything was okay. He was just breastfeeding. I'm a naturopath. Everything was like the book. And then he got the MMR, which just short time after that, he was diagnosed as type 1 diabetes. And that was very scary because I remember it was like trying to tell the doctors when the symptoms arrived, he was peeing a lot. He breastfed like 10 times, like all the time. It was like, and but the doctor just said, he's growing up, nothing to worry about. And it started to develop. It started to come up and when we arrived to Israel, a nightmare began because the moment we land, he was not, and he was a baby. It's 15-month old.
Yeah.
Going from one doctor to another, even in Israel, was a little bit problem because they didn't figure it out. It was a simple blood test that we needed to do, but they didn't. Instead of that, they gave him things to treat dehydration. And that's actually caused him almost to lost his life, because when I decided I no longer listen to that, I just took him in my hands and ran in Jerusalem. I didn't even have time. Went into the hospital, and lucky I was there, because they told me a moment later, if you arrived a moment later, he was already with blood glucose that was 800.
Oh, wow.
So this is where it started. So now it was really a wow, like, you're trying to see what's, and then, when that's happened, I just left what I already knew, and I start from the beginning, from Bereshit, you say, from the beginning, slowly to build up this puzzle. So it will make more clearness in my path. What is it that I need to pay attention more? And then I chose basically to discover more about NAET was one of them, to discover how I can reach out and how I can build up this relationship with my body, to ask her, what is it that I need? What went wrong? Because the toxic can build up. And suddenly a new world opened up in my place, because it was really more clear. The idea of that, the disease, it's always comes from something. There is something that happened that attack my system, and not by accident. Something I offended my immune system, and that's why she react this way. So whether it was vaccine or something else, this is the toxic, and this is actually the PPEC that I'm talking about. Toxic can be built up, and toxic can be built up from a physical level, physiology, nutrition, or chemical, or emotion. All of them have their own job, and they build up slowly, but they're there. And unless I'll reach out, they're still going to be there. So this is one of the things that, even here, I didn't know that much, but I knew this is a good way for me to start all over again, and to delete the other stuff that I knew and make that in a different way to understand more. And this is NAET.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I hear you saying, and I think is something that I've personally worked on, is, we're so intuitive, but a lot of us don't necessarily listen to our intuition. We don't listen to what our bodies are telling us. And so, having to pause and trust our bodies and listen to the fact that our body will tell us what it needs, what it doesn't need. It's very interesting, especially because as a pediatric feeding therapist, somebody who's worked with children for a long time, a lot of children will not want to eat something, or they will not want to go near something or touch something. And it's their body telling them intuitively what is safe, what is not safe, what they can handle right now, what they can't handle. Their nervous system and their whole body knows. And so it's something that I think I've known for a long time. And I even would be very cautious of when working with children because I'd always want them to feel safe when working with me. But it was something that I wasn't always necessarily listening to in my own body. And I remember probably 7 years ago, I actually hired somebody. She was supposedly a shaman. I don't know, but she was some kind of a healer. And she worked with me and she said to me, she said, Hallie, you're very intuitive. And if you just learn to trust your intuition, like whenever you do trust it, like look what happens. Everything works out. When you don't trust it, look what happens. Everything turns to chaos. And I was like, oh, okay. And so she really just helped me, lean in and learn to trust my intuition all the time. And it's funny because even in life and business, sometimes my team will, like I was having a conversation after going to a mastermind meeting a couple of weeks ago. I was having a conversation with my COO, Taylor, last Thursday. And it just was so much information we were talking about that I was sharing with her. And we got to one point talking about something new we're going to do in the business. And I said, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this would be really great to maybe bring in more people, but my gut's telling me it should only be for these people. And, I couldn't decide in the moment. And I stepped away from it. And she messaged me yesterday and said, have you talked to anybody to get their input on which direction we should go? Because I said, oh, let me talk to a few people and see what they think. And I said, no, but you know what? My gut is telling me we should go direction A, not direction B. Let's just do that. And she was like, I agree. And I was like, okay. And so it was one of those moments where sometimes, it's having to reach out and talk to other people. And I'm sharing this for a reason because I feel like my whole life trusting doctors and trusting more doctors and constantly just being put on another medication or getting another diagnosis or, but never getting down to the root cause of what was going on, never really getting the real answers that I was seeking. I, feel like I lost a lot of trust in the medical system at a certain point because I was constantly feeling like I was going in circles. And then it was happening with my children. And then, and so I almost had to lean into that teaching from 7 years ago and go, okay, I know what I know to be true. I know that our bodies are going to tell us what it needs, like what you're saying. We just have to learn to listen and we have to know what to listen to and what's just noise that we need to push out and away. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think, and then finding you and connecting with you, there's another provider who does NAET that I had done an appointment with. And the energy was off. I didn't like it. And I never went back, but we found you. And it was like a instant connection where I was like, okay, I don't know what it is or why I need to be here, but I need to be here. I need to be working with Gal. I need to bring my kids here. Like this is where we're going to be able to kind of lean in and trust our intuition and figure out what's going on. And, even for me with having a diagnosis last summer of mast cell activation syndrome and not being able to eat all these different foods and then working with you and all of a sudden I can eat everything again because we've healed things, I think, at the root. And I'm not even sure that was even, maybe that was the right diagnosis. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I know that we basically took a certain approach that kind of healed me from the inside and helped my gut a lot. And it's life-changing. So thank you for that. And I know I'm on a totally different tangent, but I think it all goes back to just leaning in, trusting your intuition, trusting that we know our bodies know, like what you were saying, our bodies know what it needs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that or if you want to talk a little bit more about some of the methods you use, but.
Well, I tell you what, I'll go back to explain about NAET because I think it's a little bit not clear. So let's talk about that. Yes. NAET, it's a method that combines few things. First, I just wanted to say that it's after the name of Dr. Devi Namboodirpad, allergy elimination technique. And she herself was allergic to so many things. And she came out and developed that method in order to help her and families around the world to handle allergy. And I about the allergy that I don't like to call them allergy because for me, it's some kind, again, of blockage, some kind of stagnation that we carry in our system, whether it's the stagnation that comes up within the physical level or the emotional level. But there is stagnation. And the idea with NAET Practitioner is really to investigate that and see where does it coming from and who is the one that I need to reach out to. So meaning it's it's like our body have all these beautiful organs and all this beautiful soldier, and the army over there knows exactly how to work. It's amazing. But if we are neglected from some reason, whether we are know about that or not, or if we are expose ourselves to environment that it's not okay for us, or food or drink or emotion, anything like that, that's the beginning of all kind of toxic that start to build up. Now, as long as I don't pay attention, they will stay there, right? And cells, unfortunately, my body remember to details everything. But if I go back to that place and trying to figure it out together with him, it's always a teamwork, why is it that the liver is so offended? Maybe because I stored this anger within me for that long. So this is one way to look at that, or one toxic. This is not the only one. We have many others, like if I ate or drink that Coca-Cola, let's say, so this is built up. The aspartame, that's built up. In a physical level, yes, I will experience this. A sensitivity, these things will come up eventually. So we start to deal with this slowly, but then we build up some kind of, let's say, give you some nice tool bag to take with you. And while doing the NAET, it's teach you also what to do when something arrives. Don't get panic. It's okay. And that's the message. When we do in the NAET, building up this method, it's doing few things. So one of them, it's the kinesiology, where it's the muscle test, where we are looking to see again, what is it that happening. And then going to the next stage, it's using tapping on the back in order to give the message. Now, what's really going on is like when we are giving that message, when we are doing that check-in with this method, we are trying to get and understand the root cause for you to have this. So first, again, it's the understanding of what's going on with your immune system. Where does we need to go and start building up that, and then we are doing that's where we're doing the kinesiology. Then we are tapping, and then there is acupressure. Nothing here, it's really invasive. But we use, let's say, all kind of vials. And let's say that I give something like this to hold. This is a small vial. We hold that. I check. I tap. I see which levels. Nothing to drink. It's not invasive. It's really simple and friendly. And this is where, you can start to eliminate other stuff, but not eliminate for good. Just eliminate until we give the right message. Because when we tap in on the back or doing this treatment, it's giving the body the understand this is not an enemy, and this is a friend. And how we can align and how we can build up a nice relationship between you and that substance, no matter what it is. If it's emotion, if it's physical things, if it's, again, no matter what it is. In order to do that, we need to see how we are understanding what is the immune system. So the immune system, her job is really to protect us, protect the body from all kind of disease, from all kind of infections and harmful substance. And it could be anything from and identifies all kind of toxin, pathogens, or virus, bacteria, and then to start build up, a different way to reach out to that places and trying to understand, So the NAET, basically, the way that we looked about that and understanding it's number of the part allergy elimination, it's a view that all immune system as a complex, but yet not complex, a network that can be influenced by all kind of energetic imbalances, and the energy blockage and all the immune dysfunctions is a result from blockage that my body start to build up. So the reprogramming the body to understand, again, and it's important to understand, it's like reprogramming the body to understand it's okay, it's not an enemy. Let's see what do you need in order to feel better. And
yeah. Well, and working with you now, myself, and with my kids and everything, it's very, very cool to see this play out because, I had a mentor once and he would always say, everything is energy. Everything is energy. And so when I remind myself of that everything is energy. And, it's when you talk about these like energy blocks in the body and how things kind of get, there's stagnation, things kind of get stuck. It makes so much sense. And it's wild to me to see all these different like allergy treatments and things out in the world and how some of them are 3 years long or lifelong or whatever. And Lily, my 9-year-old, she developed a reaction to milk protein and dog and cat dander, like out of nowhere, and was just getting hives all over her body. And it was just, we eliminated it for the summer because she went to camp for 4 weeks. But when she came back and we started to work with you, that's when all of a sudden it was like we were teaching her, there were some basics we had to do. But I think within 6 sessions or so, she was no longer having those reactions to milk protein. We were able to slowly add some stuff back in and test it out because we taught her body, taught her immune system, hey, this is safe. You don't have to, this is not an enemy. This is safe. You're okay. And she's been having it ever since. And then I think we discovered that she was having an issue with cold contact, which some people will call like cold urticaria, I think is like the official diagnosis. But no doctor has ever said anything or given her that diagnosis. It was one of her friends. We were having lunch and her friend was like, oh, I think you have cold urticaria. A 9-year-old said this. And I was like, what is that? And I looked it up and I was like, this is exactly what happens. Lily, either her arm will lay down on a cold surface, she'll pick it up in the area that touched that contact is where she breaks out in hives, or she'll go in the pool and she'll have hives all over any part of her body that's not covered in a bathing suit. Or, it was very interesting. And I remember coming to you and saying, she's reacting to cold. And we started to treat that. And that one has taken a while to uproot, but I think we're finally there where she's like, Mama, I went to school, I washed my hands and I didn't have hives on them today. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I used to think it was something in the pipes or the water at school because I was like, why? And then it started happening at home and I was like, okay, it's not school. This is something about the water. But we realized it was the cold. It was actually the cold, which is very fascinating to me because when she was a baby, if she wasn't drinking breast milk straight from me, she would only drink it cold from the fridge. She did not want it warmed up. If you warmed it up, she wouldn't touch it. And then with her foods, she would wait like 20 minutes for her food to get like room temperature or cold before eating food. For the longest time, it's not maybe until like this past year or so that she started to eat warmer foods. And it was always very interesting to see my younger one eat food that was like hot, and Lily would just wait until the food really, really cooled down. And so I remember as a baby, my mom was like, "You're feeding her cold breast milk out of the fridge." And I'm like, "That's the only way she'll drink it." And I don't know. It's all she wants. If it's not from me, it has to be out of the fridge. It can't be warmed up. So it's just fascinating to me. But that's, I think, part of what you were talking about too, is you have to know your story and pay attention to your story. Because I think there's a lot of information in the history that tells you so much about what's happening now, and even what the body may know to be, safe or not safe, and what we kind of have to go back and teach the body is safe.
Exactly. Yes. It's like, when we start to put this, understand it, when we start to understand our own immune system, how does it work and what offended her, then we ourselves can start to eliminate certain of things just to see how we feel. And the way that you can treat yourself when this element that is harmful for you, it's not that complicated, It's not that complicated the moment you know that you can do that, because it's within you, Your body always tells you, here I feel okay, and here when I'm not really aligned with what you've given me. And it's the immune system build up from we all have the same building source for the immune system, and this building source, if there are 100%, and that's what we're looking here, Nate, to make each and one of them 100% good. Not that many, but they are the main ones, because when we are giving the treatment to the protein, which it's the first one that, it's like the egg mix, and that represent the protein, then we know that no matter what protein enter my body, within me, like the DNA that build up from that, or animal protein or vegetable protein, my body will read that differently than what he used to read, because we change that message.
Yeah.
In a way, we just get a different message. And this is how we build up one on the other. And we have to make sure that all of them participate in this celebration, because, the liver as the kidney or the heart, we are all in the same body. And the kidney cannot say, okay, today I'm taking off. I'm not doing my liver. You take care of that. Well, the liver have enough of his job to do, and this one have enough of that. So, but the idea is really to work all together.
Yes.
As a unit.
Yeah. And I love that.
Each other, yes.
Yeah.
We want it to be more aligned and in balance, because that's the idea, really.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I've come to love more of a holistic approach to this, because I think what you're talking about, we talk about the immune system, but we also talk about the entire body working together as one, and how everything that goes hand in hand. Whereas I think in a lot, and look, I believe in Eastern and Western medicine. I think there's a time and a place for both, but I feel like, in traditional medicine today, everything is taught in silos. Everything is treated in silos. It's like as if every part of our body works separate from the next. And I don't see a lot of doctors really combining, it's like, oh, go to see this specialist for that. Oh, now you got to go see this person for that. Well, where's the doctor that's going to help me kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together and help my body work as one unit, instead of just trying to treat this one thing or put a Band-Aid on this thing that feels like it's not functioning properly. And so that's, 5 or 6 years ago, I really turned very heavily to holistic approaches in medicine, just because I really liked the nature in which everybody seemed to treat the body as one whole unit working together. And if something is off, obviously that's going to disrupt the whole system. So let's figure out what the root cause of that is, so that everything can work in harmony again. Like, how do we get back to that homeostasis? And so, that's where I think NAET has really stepped in the past year. Well, not even a year. I think we started working with you the end of summer. And it's amazing to me because I think it's helped me. It's helped Lily. Now it's helping Mia. Now that we've started Mia on this journey. And it's really very fascinating to me, but it all makes so much sense, especially once you dive in and start going through the treatment and the process and seeing how it actually really works.
Yes, it's like seeing the identity of like it's almost like looking at the immune system and say, okay, she have her own identity and she have her own way to express ABC. And when my body actually give me that opportunity, I should grab it and just work with that.
Yeah.
Because eventually, at the end of the day, I'm the best doctor of myself.
Yes.
So you wanted to end it up and listen and see what is it going on. Yeah. And, and then you can make the choices, It's like taking responsibility of doing that changes but at least understand that there is a world like that. So my cells, each one of them have their own identity. It's like a whole world.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that and giving the right tool back, it's strengthen, your and trust in this process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and speaking about the process a bit more, I know we were talking a little bit before we recorded about scanning, but can you explain what scanning is a little bit more? Like you said, it kind of starts right when you walk into the room.
Yes. So when the person comes in, just from the beginning, I almost like I like to say that I scan just the way that we are talking and knowing a little bit more about his life, and I want to know about his childhood, as I want to know about the environment that he's living, people that is his job, all kind of things that it gives me a little bit more before even I start working with them. I want to know who is in front of me. I want to know what is this takes us. And so it's almost like give me a nice way to, in a gentle way, yes, just to build up some nice plan for him in that matter. So the scanning, it's not just physical scanning. So first it's like scanning who you are. Yeah. I'm trying together with you to see where is the places that might change a little bit in your life in order to start rebuild that relationship within you. And the other scanning, it's the physical scanning, which may take place with the way that I explained. We are giving all kind of vial to hold. I check you, I see, and I get the permission, yes, to treat you or not. If this is the right method for both of us to continue and do, and if that's okay, if that's the right place. And then after that, it's tapping on the back. It's continue this in the scanning of this matter and the condition why he's here. Of course, during that time, I explained them the idea of whatever it is that I believe in my practice and how I would love to work with you as a team and teach you what to do in case we need to do more of any of the treatment that's been handled here. I give you guidance what to do next. And this is like a simple, way to established the NAET procedure. And of course, when we are working with all this, I do talk about the nutrition, the food, explaining there is a whole world where we can look at that in a little bit different way than what we are what we usually do, and it's like the let's say about energy of food that we eat in, but this is a different story. I'll get there, but yeah, more or less the energy of the food that we eat in and the water that we drink it. There is plenty to. So that's what I, try to teach to people, and yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about like the energy of the food. What is that like if you were to explain that to somebody, like does every different food carry its own energy?
So let's say that, if I go to the grocery store, I can skip 13 aisles and go to one aisle, right? And this aisle that I chose to go, it's food. It's actual food. Yes, we do have all the things that the pesticides, but okay, I ignore that in that point. But my idea is that we wanted to go to that food. I don't want to go to the other food that in cans or the processed food, simply because if you look at the list or the label, you understand that if I eat that, then that's mean that all this little character here are entering my system. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I want that. This is where my liver said, I'm so tired. Don't. It's built up. Sometimes when we're young, we're able to detox ourselves from this. This is like the trash that I'm having, okay? Mm-hmm. But my metabolism, it's better. But in my life, I get so many, I'm exposed to so many things. And that's just one layers. So think about the vaccine that I'm getting, the emotion, mold, if I'm, all kind of things, the things that I'm exposed to. And I'm getting old and I'm not able to detox because I already build up something within me that comes to a place where the layers are so high that I need to work on that. I need to start to clear those paths. I need to start to take this and release them. And that's what I'm doing here, to release that. We don't want to get to a point, okay? And that's important to understand, where the horse is already falling. Because while he's not falling down, we can still heal that, right? We don't want to get to a point where, what's going on? Everything is, the cortisol is high. This is the, we don't want to get there. We want it to, to maintain a good health. So teaching the parents or the person that in front of me is that part of that, because we want them to know that. We want the generation to come to know that. It's okay. We don't have, there's so many temptations, but we can say, not anymore. We can, and that's, one of the things that I love being here in Florida, because, I'm able to have my own vegetables. I'm able to have my own chickens where I know what I feed them. And, you build your own beautiful little garden, and you are the one to choose what is it that you want to plant, what seeds to grow. And in order to get a better environment and a better health to go, not just for now, but for the next 40 years. And yeah.
I love that. I keep saying we need to get some chickens, but our HOA won't allow us to do that here. So especially right now, all the eggs, I don't know if you've heard, but the eggs are so hard to find and expensive. And, it's been a whole thing. My goodness. It's like going to multiple stores to find pasture raised organic eggs is a whole thing right now. So I'm happy that you have your own chickens.
It's like, no, we do. I understand. don't all have this opportunity, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The idea is really to go ahead and choose among the variety, and we have so much in this world. And Baruch Hashem, I'm saying Baruch Hashem because He gave us so much source in this world to have. So why not using them? These beautiful fruits, these beautiful vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this has been amazing. Thank you, Gal. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to cover before we wrap up today?
I'm trying to think. So I think we were talking about that. Yes. No, I think we did cover everything. We just want us all to really to fall in love with our story, because this is the story. Really.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. And yes, if anyone and that wanted to contact me, I'll be happy to explain more. They can reach me out, and you can send the details. They can reach me out, and I can explain. If anything wasn't clear, I'd be happy to talk about that. And
fantastic. Well, I know they can find you at galbason.com, which we'll also link under the episode. And then you're on Instagram as well. Anywhere else they can find you? I know your website has contact information for you too.
No, I think that will be enough for them. If anyone wants to contact me, yes.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that we link that below the episode so they can easily find you. And I know you're currently practicing both in Boca Raton and in Hollywood, right? Hollywood, Florida. Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So if anybody's looking for her, highly recommend. Me and my girls go to her. I promise you will not be disappointed. We will see you later today, in fact. We see you one to two times per week usually on average. So yes. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us and for helping us heal. And I think really just helping me lean back in and trust my own intuition, trust my own body, and just feel, I feel amazing. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you, Hallie.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you found value in this episode and want to hear more of these myotots, airway, and feeding related episodes, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share this episode on your social media platforms. You can access free resources and all I offer at halliebalkan.com or pop over to @HallieBalkan on Instagram to get all the latest updates.